Ranjan Sinha, we're going to discuss the topic of the necessity of having a flexible supply chain. So Ranjan, can you first provide a brief background of yourself?
Hi, Dustin. It's great to talk with you. My name is Ranjan Sinha. I have 24 years of experience in the logistics, supply chain, transportation, and project management, including in many countries, which includes India, Ukraine, France, Luxembourg, and Middle East. My assignments include CEO of logistics and supply chain and port operation with one of the biggest steel conglomerate in the world. I am currently associated as project director with a greenfield project for development for an integrated smart logistics city based in Middle East.
Thanks.
I will be speaking today about the topic why you need to have a flexible supply chain system.
Thank you. And my first question is, why do you need a flexible supply chain, and what are some of the benefits?
Supply chain flexibility is becoming increasingly important, helping companies to most effectively manage their costs and resources, as well as most effectively meet consumer demand. A flexible supply chain is both agile and adaptable. It is demand-driven and can therefore respond to short-term changes in demand, and it can evolve and improve over time to meet ever-changing conditions. Basically, there are two forms of supply chain flexibility: micro and macro flexibility. Micro flexibility essentially refers to how quickly a supply chain can detect and respond to any kind of short-term issues. A company with a supply chain that exhibits a high degree of micro flexibility can manage spontaneous or sudden problems or opportunities quickly and effectively, such as the late arrival of a delivery truck, a customer request for a special packaging or handling. How quickly and effectively can you manage these changes and needs? By contrast, macro flexibility refers to a broader, overarching company strategies, programs, and policies. A company that has a macro flexible supply chain system can easily change existing supply chains or develop new supply chains to accommodate changing consumer demand. In other words, agility and adaptability are important. The bottom line is that both macro and micro forms of flexibility are absolutely essential. So let's take a look at the inherent benefit of a flexible supply chain system. It helps to combat increased market volatility. Basically, historically, supply chain factors such as production levels, raw material purchases, transport capacity, etc., were determined through a careful examination of historical patterns of demand. Now, however, this simply isn't feasible. Today's market are increasingly volatile, and a flexible supply chain can help a company to pull through a potentially damaging market changes, such surges in prices or drops in demand. Ultimately, businesses that are flexible are able to protect themselves. Interestingly, many analysts have praised Honda's remarkable flexible supply chains, arguing that it was this flexibility that helped the company to make it through the 2008 recession and surge in gas prices relatively unscathed. B, it helps to adjust to the complex pattern of the consumer demand. Determining consumer demand isn't as simple as it was once before because the markets are more volatile. It isn't just as simple as looking at the historical patterns of consumer demand. In most emerging economies, economic expansion is occurring at double-digit rates, prompting huge shifts in global demand patterns. Because of the scale of the shifts, it's hard to predict what consumer demand will look like 5 or 10 years down the line. C, it helps to boost company value. In an economic recession or any kind of situation that causes a drop in demand, a company may be tempted to scale back on everything. This can be quite a mistake. However, as if and when demand resurges, it will be difficult to accommodate it. Flexible supply chains means that a company can easily adjust production level, raw material purchases, and transport capacity in order to maximize profits. When demand is high, the company boosts production. When it is low, it can scale back. In a flexible supply chain, making changes to the overall system are simply not as costly. Now the question comes, how can managers achieve better supply chain flexibility? They have to be proactive, not reactive. Normally, companies tend to react to the uncertainties of the supply chain in 4 ways. A, they're keeping safety stock to reduce the probability of inventory shortage. B, setting capacity higher than average demand to avoid substantial shortages during peak periods. C, maintaining multiple suppliers, which increases costs. And D, adding safety lead times to the actual cycle time. But using these strategies may be counterproductive in the long term. Instead, they will find greater flexibility in proactively redesigning products, processes, and the supply chain network, and negotiating more effective relationships with trading partners. For example, using common components, redesigning both shop floor and administrative processes, reducing facilities or centralizing stocks to fewer facilities to reducing risk, partnering with other firms to achieve consortium purchasing, negotiating or renegotiating supply contracts to alleviate minimum order quantities or to obtain a commitment from suppliers to supply materials or services in the case of a significant increase in demand. Reducing lead time by redesigning procurement processes, changing supplier selection criteria from cost focus to speed focus, or developing suppliers for a better lead time. Identifying alternate routing or shipment modes. And lastly, the fostering better collaboration with supply chain partners. I give one example that I was successful in implementing in my capacity as a CEO of Supply Chain and Logistics Management. I was able to establish a supply chain team, and we used to call this as a war room to make a fast decision across functions. The team was populated by leaders from production, procurement, logistics, and sales, and they were furnished with the latest data on purchasing, production, orders, and deliveries. This team used to meet weekly or even daily to devise a near-term operation plans. The team managed to cut inventory level by 20% in just 10 weeks while maintaining a high level of customer service. What's more, by speeding up decision, the company increased the frequency but reduced the size of its order from key suppliers. Greater cross-functional cooperation helped it not only to identify new opportunities for using out-of-spec material and thus inventory on hand, but also to make better informed decisions about where and when to discount overstock products. So a flexible supply chain organizations not only require a strategic leader, but also input from managers who represent the traditional supply chain functions of planning, sourcing, manufacturing, logistics, and also sales and marketing, among others. That's it.
And thank you, Ranjan, for sharing today.